Well, 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 we've made it. Feels real good to beat Sprite as the winning matchup to get there. Super poly carried. You love to see it. Let's go over the deck list. This is the Diamond branded / Dark Magician deck profile. Using the branded engine to carry, we've got double Dark Magician, triple Magician Souls, triple Max C. I drew this card so many times against True Draco and just other normal summon decks like Flunder. It was embarrassing, but you gotta play this at 3. It just ends turns and it wins games. It's a stupid card and shouldn't be in the format. It's the only reason to play Dark Magician in Master Duel because this card's good. Anyway, Magician's Rod at 3. This gives us maximum access to our Anaconda because we've got triple Souls, triple Rod, 2 Illusion of Chaos, and the double Prep. We're just trying to get to Anaconda every game, and along the way we're baiting responses by sending spell traps with Souls to draw, using Rod effect to bait an Imperm or a Veiler, or even Ash. I know you can't Ash Anaconda, but still you can get rid of an Ash, that's cool. And then once your opponent's used up all the negates, you hopefully go into your Anaconda. Your Anaconda can only shit out Mirror Jade, but that's still normally enough for this deck to start popping off. Now, there's a lot of things in this list I normally disagree with, and we'll get to them very soon. I know the triple circle, people are going to be like, what the hell, Loza? But we'll get to it. So yeah, Ash at 3, because there's a lot of decks in the format where Max C's not good, Imperm's not good, and you're like, well, what do I hit them with? And Ash is normally that answer. It's just so generic, it's good against everything. Yeah, it's once per turn, but whatever. Double Fallen of Albaz because we are playing the double branded fusion. Sometimes this is a better normal summon than Rod, and those games, it wins games. It's crazy. We've been over this. This is just Rhoda for the other Dark Magician cards. 1 Upstart because honestly, like, I can't think of the last slot to put in here, and sometimes just playing Upstart first, you can see if the opponent has Ash or Max C and play around that. It sounds silly, and it's only something you can do in Master Duel, and it's dumb, but you can do it. So you do. It's a bit silly, but don't forget that Upstart combos very well with Soul Servant. Going Upstart, people don't normally Ash it, and then you chain the Soul Servant, get what you want, and people then cry, so it's really good. Or you play the Upstart and people do Ash it, and then hopefully you have the follow-up, but sometimes that doesn't work out. But anyway, Upstart and Circle is also very good, because you can Circle, and you might see Branded Fusion, you go, cool, I'm going to Upstart into that. Double Prep, because it's just more copies of this, without it being this, because this can't be sent with Souls for draws, but Prep can, so opening Double Prep, Prep can go get Illusion of Chaos, get Magician Souls, send the other copy of Prep for draws. It's pretty straightforward, but a lot of people seem to forget that and max out on this card, which I don't think is 100% correct. You could say this plays more into Droll, but like, I haven't seen Droll on Master Duel ever, so I think it's fine. Branded Fusion at 2, it is at 2, so we're going to play it at 2. Card's very busted. Obviously, people are going to want to Ash this, and hopefully then you've got your Eternal Soul, your Circle, and your Super Poly or something to back it up. Because if you get Ashed on this, you're kind of crying. Now, in this deck, Branded Fusion, you're normally going to send to the graveyard Dark Magician and Albaz, which will make you this boy here, Lubellion, and then Lubellion will discard, and that's the part, don't forget, you have to discard. Discard, and then you can summon out... You can summon Mirror Jade, but you normally are going to want to go straight into Dragon Knight by shuffling back Dark Magician and Albaz, or you can shuffle back the Lubellion, but typically you just want to leave the 3k defense body on the field. It's normally fine. Now that doesn't sound 100% ideal, but this is for when you open Circle Eternal Soul. So there's a lot of luck sack in this deck, like to open Branded Fusion and Circle and Eternal Soul like requires a lot, but remember it can just be Branded Fusion, Eternal Soul, and Illusion of Chaos, right? That's a way there. Prep, Branded Fusion, Circle is also a way there. And sometimes with Circle at 3, and Soul Servant at 3, and Salvation and Eternal Soul at 1 and 2, which is essentially 3, right? Your chance of hitting is so much higher. And normally, in my deck lists, I've said, you know, guys, play 1 Circle, play 2 Circle. And yes, that's 100% fine for TCG. That's TCG. In Master Duel, it's really awesome that we can get to Dragon Knight like this. No other build of Dark Magician can get to Dragon Knight like this. I guess in TCG you could say, like, play Brand of Fusion, and you can do it too. But I don't know. There's no charm to playing Brand of Fusion in TCG for me. I'm pretty sure Matchy is a really good Branded Dark Magician fan, and his videos have been making me turn my head and go, hey, maybe it's pretty good. It's looking really good on paper. But you know what? Without Anaconda, it feels kind of bad. Just having Rod and Souls be able to go into Anaconda again feels amazing to me. I'm really enjoying that. But anyway, that's kind of my angle of the Dark Magician cards. Basically, I've maxed out on two Eternal Soul, 1 Salvation, which is kind of 3 Eternal Soul, and triple Circle, because you really just want to have the banish. Because people are hand trapping your souls and your rod because they think you're playing DM, and you're even activating circle hoping they ash it because you're baiting them to resolve either the branded fusion or to resolve the anaconda effect. And it works so well on Master Duel because you can see people's responses. It's a little, it sounds a bit like cheating, but you can see when they have ash, you can see when they have max C based on the responses to the other cards we play. It's very cheap, but it works. So you bait your opponent with the Rod and Souls. The Dark Magician cards bait your opponent. You make them think you're a standard, a brain dead Dark Magician player, and they go and try to negate your stuff, they ash all your stuff, and then you flop out the Brand of Fusion and you watch them scoop. It's so good. I know some people might not like that it's not pure, but this is what gets Dark Magician going. Remember the Brand of Fusion getting to your Dragonite is just so good. Now we do have to play some going second cards because as you've seen, the Dark Magician deck, it kind of struggles with going second. So what we do for second, obviously there's triple Max C, triple Ash, but to back that up, there's triple Super Poly, which is super nice in this build. It is such a game winner. You typically don't want to Super Poly your own monsters, but I did it a couple of times on ladder, on my climb, and you know what? It just made people scoop. So obviously if that scenario arises, you kind of have to know. Like when Sprite normal summons Sprite Blue, and you've got a Dark on the field, and you're like, I can just Super Poly and go on a Starving Venom right now. You do it because obviously they need that level 2 to extend, and they've kind of bricked. So that was my winning game, by the way. It's very situational, but Super Poly basically just lets you be able to lose the coin toss and still play the game. And that is the same for Evenly Matched. These cards, there's just 5 of them, really. We've just got 5 super strong going second, like Unga Bunga, break board cards. Now, sometimes Super Poly is not live, so you'd probably think I would max on the Evenly, but I'm not actually sure why I've done the 3-2 split this way. All I know is I like Fusion, so I went with a 3-2 split. Oh yeah, it's because Evenly is only good when you've established a board. Sorry, the opposite. Super Poly is good when you have a board. Evenly is only good when you have no board. And you'll know in Dark Magician we have Circle Eternal Soul and Dragonite as our standard combo. So sometimes Evenly Match just does not work. If you draw this and you've just got Circle in the field, like you cock yourself, for example. So this card is kind of like, oh, you see it, and then you don't want to see it anymore. So it seems a bit weird to play a blowout card at 2, but I think you can understand my reasoning there. We've got another blowout card at 3, and we've got this beautiful card at 2, along with our Max Cs and our Ashes. Now, going on to some more staples, we've got the double Called by the Grave. This card is just so good. It just lets your effects resolve. It lets your Branded Fusion not get ashed. It lets you get rid of their Max C, right? You can call by their Max C. It just feels really good. It's pretty much the game winner against some decks. If you verse any Eldritch or Labyrinth and you can manage to get rid of some of their boss monsters with this, it's sensational. With the Bestials floating around in the format, this card can be incredibly useful as well. Now you'll notice there's no Dark Magician go, and that's because the Bestials are so dominant. We just have the 2 Dark Magician, and that's all you ever really want to send. That's pretty much wrapping up the main deck, the single copy of Secrets and the triple Soul Servant. Soul Servant's still one of the best Dark Magician cards. You really do want to open it. Yeah, it does nothing on its own, but combo with Magician Souls, it's already like a draw 1. It's pretty freaking good. You just summon Magician Souls, send Soul Servant for a draw, and then you banish Soul Servant, draw again. So, it refills that hand back up. And as we mentioned, it combos well with Upstart and any other drawing engines. So you could play Chicken Game as well. I was a bit nervous to play Chicken Game, and we'll go over that real quick. Now, obviously, this card's incredible in Dark Magician, but because we're playing Branded and we can get to Dragonite, and then this just can't get off the field because we're protecting it with Dark Magician. It got a bit silly, and there's some games where you can't out your own Chicken Game, and then you can't kill your opponent, and then they eventually pick up steam and kill you. So this card ended up being a bit of a double-edged sword in the deck, so I swapped it out for Upstart. You can obviously still play Chicken Game. It's a bit niche. It's also another factor of we're playing freaking Evenly Matched. So sometimes you can't out your own Chicken Game once again, or the out to your own Chicken Game is another field spell. So what does this Evenly Match do? So I guess that's kind of a deck building decision. If you're going to play Evenly, maybe don't play Chicken Game. If you're not playing Evenly, you probably play this instead of Upstart, because Chicken Game plus Magician Souls is like a draw 3. Because Magician Souls sends DM to grave, summons itself, play Chicken Game, draw a card, Magician Souls, send Chicken Game, draw another card. Like, it's crazy. And if you combo that with Soul Servant, holy crap, you're drawing so many cards. So Chicken Game is an amazing card in DM. I just thought I'd give it a shout out, but it's not in this build for mainly the Evenly Matched reason. But yeah, and the Dragonite reason, because you can just really get yourself stuck on it. Anyway, let's look at the extra deck. So triple Super Poly target at the starts. A lot of people are cutting Starving Venom, but I still found, making these, like, you don't kill your opponent. And that might sound really lackluster, but normally when you play Super Poly, like, you're ending the game, or you're, like, outing 2 big threats. And sometimes, there's still so many dark decks in the format, so I just put it back in, and I never regretted it. Starving Venom came up multiple times. I even did a secrets play in the battle phase where I hit my opponent with like my rod and my DM, and then I secrets into something else, and there was some other dark that I had on the field. Maybe there was a Souls in Defense, I don't know. And I just super polyed and like went even further. Like, it's crazy that you can super poly and secrets in battle phase sometimes and just get a whole heap of damage. It's kind of wild. Let's look at the Dark Magician fusions. I hate that they're not next to each other, and the Brandon ones aren't next to each other. That's really going to frustrate me. But one Dark Magician, the Dragonite, sensational card. Had to get that royal finish. You love to see it. One the Dark Magicians, still a really good card even without DMG. Helps push for game mainly. And another card that helps push for game, the Master of Chaos. So mainly these two fusions are there to push for game, which is really strange in Dark Magician. But that's just how our fusions are. They're just not suited for going first. Obviously, Dragonite's amazing for just building up that Circle Eternal Soul lock. But in terms of just damage, you want to fuse into these cards in the battle phase and just slap your opponent around. The Dark Magician effect to draw one, it's okay. It's a bit of a lost cause in my opinion, but sometimes you can use that. It barely saves you though. I feel like if you're relying on that for a play, you're pretty desperate. But I thought I'd mention it because a lot of people see this card as like infinite value, and I gotta disagree. I think this card's quite mid. Anyway, let's look at the branded cards. One Albion, one Mirror Jade, and one Lubellion. Those who don't know the branded engine, you typically off Anaconda, you're going to only ever summon Mirror Jade because that's all you can summon that's relevant. But then if you open the branded fusion, what you're going to do is you're going to summon Lubellion first, and then you're going to be able to go into your Dragon Knight. So then you're probably asking, what's Albion doing? I don't think I summoned Albion once on the Climb to Diamond. Albion's here because you send him with Mirror Jade, quick effect, send a fusion from extra deck that lists Fallen of Albaz to banish a monster on the field. And this is your primary send target because when this card is in the grave at the end of the turn, you can add or set a branded spell trap directly from deck. So you go ahead and you add your other copy of branded fusion. So normally turn 1, you set up Anaconda and you get Mirror Jade out. Mirror Jade effect gets rid of their shit, and in the end phase you get your Albion, which adds your Branded Fusion to your hand. So now, on your next turn, you're able to activate Branded Fusion, go into Lubellion, go into Dragon Knight. So you basically confirm Dragon Knight by turn 2, if you get to Anaconda turn 1. It might sound a bit lackluster, but honestly, with the amount of interaction this deck has, you're honestly normally fine. With the Mirror Jade banish, plus hopefully you've got, you know, your Maxi, your Ash, your Super Poly, something to do on the opponent's turn. Even your Circle Eternal Soul. As long as you've got something to combo with the Mirror Jade, you're typically okay if you know the choke point of the deck you're versing. Sometimes it's impossible and they open the nuts, but, you know, if they open a mid-hand, great, you're probably fine. So yeah, that's my interpretation on that. If we need a combo demonstration of that, let me know and I'll hit us up with one. It makes sense once you do it once or twice, but I found it very hard to see at first. But anyway, into the links. I know links are scary for a lot of new Dark Magician players, so I would encourage you to just give them a try, you know? Have a go with them. I know link summoning can be quite weird, but it's really as simple as it's a link 1, you need 1 monster to make it. In this case, the monster's a normal monster, so Dark Magician. Imdok just gets Dark Magician off the field, and it's a dragon. I don't think I ever... Maybe once I fused with Imdok with secrets to make Dragon Knight. Or maybe it was Super Poly. I don't know, but I maybe did that once to make Dragon Knight. But that barely comes up. But you may as well play it over Link Spider because Link Spider's not a dragon, right? Link Spider can use a token as material though, if that's ever relevant, like Nibiru situation, but not really, doesn't really come up in DM. We don't really get to Nibiru levels of summoning. One Artemis, and obviously Nibiru's not played right now because of Sprite meta. Pardon me. But anyway, Artemis, I have many videos on her now. You just recycle Rod. There's just games where you will only get to Rod, you won't get to Souls, you won't get to any other summons. That's it. And you just get Rod, go get Soul Servant, link Rod into Artemis, pass turn, set Soul Servant, pass turn. And then on the opponent's turn, you're able to flip the Soul Servant, tribute the Artemis, add the Rod back to hand. It's very nice. It comes up way more than you think, and it lets you come back into the game, lets you play the game again on the next turn. And you'll notice there's a lot of cards in this deck that help with the recursion, and mainly thanks to the Branded Engine and the Mirror Jade, that let you recur your plays and play again on the next turn. So you don't just disrupt your opponent and it comes back to you and you have no gas. So yeah, Artemis is helpful for that, even though she has literally no effect. It's just helping to trigger Rod's effect in the grave. And then yeah, the Branded Engine, sensational for giving us some plays to make and making Anaconda useful. Anaconda, the star of the deck, it's at 1. Honestly, they should ban it. Until they do, we're going to play it in Dark Magician. It's so good. It means we can make fusion plays turn 1 while getting negated on Rod and Soul Servant. Like, it's so good. It's so good. I just love it. Sometimes I get hand trapped on Rod or Souls, and like I don't even call by because it's like, what's the point? Like that's fine. I'm gonna go into my Anaconda now, and everything's gonna resolve. It's like they did call by for me, and then I save the call by for the opponent's turn and use it as a disruption, and it's just better. So be wary of that. You don't have to use your call by to protect your Rod effect from resolving, especially if you don't have Circle or Eternal Soul already. Like if you don't have one of the pieces, like who cares? Let them hand trap your Rod. It's fine. But yeah, just keep that in mind. Like the DM cards are more or less bait here. Their effects are bait, so you can get to Anaconda safely a lot of the time turn 1. Some people might not want to hear that, but that's the truth of the matter. The Dark Magician cards are not the strongest. But here we are playing Triple Circle because I actually really want to see it in this build. And Circle's actually unique in Master Duel. When you play it first, you can see if the opponent has Ash or Max C. Basically, well, you can tell when they have Max C at the start, but then you can test if they have Ash. It's very interesting. It shouldn't work the way it does, but welcome to Master Duel. Dark, Celine, Access Code, I'm glad these three are next to each other. So Dark is just a little climbing package, which includes 2 monsters, including a Dark, which is obviously all our normal summons, and our main special summon. You can go from your Dark, target a Dark in your opponent's grave, special it out, go into Celine. Celine removes 3 spell counters if there's spell cards in the fields and grave. Great. And then you summon back any of your spellcasters, and you go into Access Code, and you start popping the board and swinging for big damage. You love to see it. There was one card that came up, or would have come up a couple of times, but I didn't have it in the extra deck, and that is this guy here, Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos. Now, a lot of the time when you can make this, you can probably make Access Code, which is kind of the problem. If you can make Access Code, like, you make Access Code, more or less. And what I mean by that is you make Celine, and then Celine makes Access Code. Now, this being a Link 3 as well means it's another option, and if Access Code's not good against the deck you're versing, or maybe you're versing Eldritch or Labyrinth, this card's very good against them. Getting that Destroy a Monster, boost the attack, are very good. So if I was to make a room for any card, it would probably be that BLS Link. Now, Relinquish Anima should get a shout out too, because while this card's very good at making Magician Souls going, generating value going second, in this deck, we typically don't want to make it because it clashes with Brand Infusion. As soon as you make a Link in this build, you've turned off the Brand Infusion that's in your hand. It's okay to still send off Anaconda, you can still do that, but you can't activate it from the hand. So there are rare games where you open it, you really just want to look at the hand and assess whether it's worth, making a Link this game. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's better to just go Brand Infusion, shit out this guy, sit on Circle, Eternal Soul, GG. But sometimes you're playing second, and it's hard to judge whether you should go for a Dark play, whether you should go for a Brand Infusion play. And in those situations, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you just gotta take a risk and see what's the better option, and then learn from it, right? It's a bit of experimentation, but that's the build. It's freaking awesome. Please try this out. This is an awesome build. If you have any suggestions, recommendations, drop them down in the comments below. Love to chat about the deck anytime. Dark Magician is the best deck. I don't think I can push this to Master Tier, but we got to Diamond. Let's go, baby. Dark Magician best deck. Peace. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all that stuff. Alright, see ya. Hey you, yeah you, you've been wondering where I get my singles from. Well, it brings me great joy to say I get my singles from Grimdark Gaming. Whether you play Yu-Gi-Oh!, Digimon, Dragon Ball, Flesh and Blood, Magic the Gathering, MetaZoo, or whatever it is you're after, make sure with your purchase to use code LOZA2 and apply that to get 5% off your order. And of course, that 5% goes to helping me out to make this channel so awesome for you. So make sure you check out Grimdark Gaming down in the description of this video and use the promo code LOZA2.